Hey guys, it's Charge and Hayner for first round preview show today, July 3rd. Basketball Eve, live basketball returns. Charge, how excited are you right now?
No, I'm pumped. We've been kind of tracking this thing for what seems like months now. Obviously, the GM's fielding teams have been a full year, but fireworks coming July 4th, and it's been a long journey. Amazing effort by TBT, amazing effort by the GMs to get us this far, and ready to get into the first round preview and see what we think is going to shake out.
Absolutely. We got some great guests I'll introduce in a minute. By the way, you'll notice on a lot of the slides, there's a meeting ID. You can zoom in. We're taking calls at the end. We're going to talk a little bit amongst ourselves, invite a couple of guests in. Hopefully, Magic Juan might come by to talk a little bit. We're hoping he comes by. He's supposed to. And at the end, we're hoping to get this done in about 40 minutes. And you guys can call in and talk to our panel of really smart guys and talk to us about picks. You can yell at us. By the way, if you're a player or a GM, we know you're in quarantine. You got nothing to do. So come by and yell at us about our picks, make us feel bad. We'll find that very amusing. And again, that's the data right there on most of the slides. I'll put in the chat at some point. With that in mind, let's talk to our guest analyst and introduce him. Our guest today, we have Shane Presley, the co-GM of Showtime, 6-time TBT participant. Big win against Wake the Nation 2018. I was in the house at that time, actually. And returning to the show, Michael Illiano, who I mispronounced his name, so I'm tired. 5 GMs is 5-time GM, 5 seasons of GM of Team 23. And a one-time finalist. Gentlemen, let's see your pretty faces for a minute. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
What's up?
It's always good to see you guys. Shane for the first time. I love the beard. I wish I had facial hair like that. I don't look nearly as good as you do as a fellow redneck. Mike,
Thank you.
What's up? What's up, guys? Okay. Let's go back to the slides. Let's start just getting right in these matchups, guys. Go back to that. Okay. So, and again, you see the field. The field has changed a little bit. You can see that D2, Prime Time, and Peoria have all been added to the show due to different things, which means we have had 5 teams knocked out. Unfortunately, a friend of the pod, Jimmy V, was left out today due to COVID. We have lost Mid-American Unity, who was nice enough to come on the show a couple days ago. And we've lost the underdogs, and not having Jalen Barford hurts a lot. So that's a really sad. And also West Virginia's alums couldn't make it, which is always a bit of a bummer. So Charles, in this field, like, how hard do you think it was to get these 24 teams together?
It was brutal. I think early on in the TBT process, talking to some of the GMs, it was one of the smoothest years they were having from putting these 24 teams together. And then as we got closer to actually needing to show up, go in quarantine, take your COVID test, my hat goes off to all these GMs. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. And, really, TBT 2020 would not happen if it wasn't for the gentlemen, the GMs that are, putting the teams together. And then obviously TBT, just phenomenal job with their safety protocols, getting Columbus, getting this bubble. And, the 24 teams we were left with, even with, 3 teams coming in, 3 teams coming out since the start of, people arriving in Columbus, is a phenomenal field. I mean, you can't argue with the folks that came in that were on standby. All 3 great teams, and they're going to do some really good things in the tournament as well.
Now, Shane, you were not among the teams invited with Showtime, but you're a longtime fixture here. Can you talk a little bit about how you think the quarantine might be affecting the players?
I imagine it's probably driving a lot of people crazy. It's probably weird being locked up, not being able to go anywhere. Yeah, I know that the toughest part about TBT, I think, is always just making sure your guys are showing up, and throwing in COVID with that has got to be a mess.
Yeah, and we know, Mike, you were right on the cut line, which, I mean, it has to be a kind of a bummer. Obviously, Team 23, a one-time finalist, a fixture in this, but are you almost glad you're not there right now? I mean, how much internet movies can you watch, right?
I'm actually kind of torn. I told Dan Friel the other day, I said, I'm torn because I know one of those replacement spots would have been us if we would have elected to go. But then at the same time, the safety, and I'm coming from Arizona. Arizona's getting hit hard right now. So who knows if I'm positive, So again, there's mixed feelings.
Yeah, it's a really weird year. I mean, I know Charge, I think Ohio's having COVID stuff go up a little bit too, correct?
Yeah, everything's going up. We're one of the hot spots, especially in the Dayton and Columbus areas. They've been fairly high lately as well. So, I'll enjoy this year's TBT from the safety of my own home, and prayers up for those guys that they're, going to stay safe, both COVID-wise, injury-wise, and, make it through this thing unscathed.
Absolutely. And speaking of enjoying it from home, let's get to these games. We have some really great matchups here. First round Saturday, 4 games. Again, there's that call-in at the end. And we're going to start with the 9-seeded Big X versus the 24-seed replacement team, very good team, D2. That's at 3 p.m. on Saturday, tomorrow. And I mean, look at this Big X team. You got a lot of guys from Wisconsin, some guys from Michigan State. You got some guys from Ohio State, led by C.J. Jackson. A very versatile, powerful lineup of Ward up front, a lot of shooting on the wings. A very solid team led by Andrew Dakic. Very, very solid team. And Charge, who are they playing?
Yeah, D2. Oh, hey, you highlighted my guy, Jesse Harden. I like that. So, D2 came in as a standby team. Remember, these guys took out the Bluegrass boys last year. They should have beat Fort Wayne last year. So when you look at a standby team, don't think these guys coming in are just going to kind of roll over and play dead. Probably one of the best coaches in the TBT in Grant, and just a deep, deep team of ball players that are hungry, ready to go. Terrence Sullivan and Mayfield really stick out and getting a lot of hype right now as players to watch, and this team is going to be incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. Friend of the pod, Coach Leonard, really quality coach. So let's go to our picks. And Mike, we're going to start with you. You picked D2. Why did you pick D2?
I picked D2 because I like Kevin Capers. No, I honestly, they play hard, and Big X has yet to show in this tournament that they can break through. And now I think with COVID, you got to kind of be united, and D2 seem united. Although the loss of Branch will hurt them.
Yeah.
All right, Shane, what do you got?
I think this may be the best first round game matchup wise. I think that Big X just adding LD Williams. I love LD Williams. He was one of the most exciting players we've ever played against. But I think adding somebody like that could be a big boost for them. But I think it will be a very tight game. D2 added one of our former players, Brian Harper, who was actually supposed to play with us last year but tore his ACL, who is someone we look forward to having. And Jesse Harden, obviously, is someone who was very good last year for Mid-American Unity.
Yeah, pretty good roster there. In Charge, I mean, talking a little bit about that, we also noticed that you went with D2. Can you explain your logic?
Yeah, and Shane, we had LD on our Zoomcast earlier in the year, and we definitely gave him the business about you guys taking it to him. So he heard all about it. But yeah, no, D2, like I said, goes back, and me and Mike, as we go through this, you're going to see had some similar picks. I just really think that the coaching is going to make the difference here. The Big X roster is really, really good roster. So not to discount anything about these guys. Dakic is going to be coaching these guys, player coach. So that's a little concerning to me. Things are going to be moving fast. Going to need to keep it all together, and I just think Grant's going to keep this team together. And they're ultra hungry. I mean, these guys are ultra hungry to prove once again. They proved it last year that they belong. They got snubbed this year. Got to prove it again, and they're going to prove it again. And Hayner, leaves it up to you. Bring us home.
Okay, I've got D2 as well, and I some of the similar reasons. This obviously no disrespect to Big X, a lot of quality players. Dakic is going to lead a good team. I fully expect to be competitive, but like as an underdog fan myself, I think D2 really is going to come correct. Grant Leonard is one of the better coaches in there. I respect a lot of their roster. I think they're going to play an up-tempo game and force Big X to do something Big Ten teams aren't usually comfortable with, which is get faster than they want to be. They'll give up some size. They'll gain some speed. I really think D2 will walk out of here with a win. Any final thoughts on this game, guys? Anything we're missing?
Nope.
No, it's an exciting one. This is going to be a great way to tip off TBT 2020. So if you're an early bird, get there at 3 and let's have this thing go on.
Yeah, it's going to be a game I think we're all really looking forward to as we start live sports again. Thank God we're going to be able to watch some basketball finally. I'm so sick of watching, as the world turns. Okay, game 2. And this is actually a game that really – and this is really unfortunate. I mean, we're going to really kind of make one of the friends of the pod a little upset. The Stillwater Stars have definitely lost – this game's lost a little luster. I'll talk about Brotherly Love briefly. A team of really veteran Philly guys. You got guys from Temple, a lot of small colleges like Ryder coming in hungry. And they've been twice, including their time with Talladega Knights, led by Novar Gadsden. On the wing, a lot of scoring, a lot of toughness. They've been 6-2 in this tournament, and they, again, are the Cuse killers. They walked out of Syracuse with a win last year. So it's a very deep, very physical squad. And who are they playing, Charge?
Yeah, they're going to be taking on the Stillwater Stars. And in this one here, like I said, this team, we really had a great vibe going on that they shouldn't have been a 21. They should have been seated much better. And in the picture, the card we have here is Markel Brown. And this is the story of what's going to happen in this game. Unfortunately, Markel Brown's not there. Cobbins isn't there. And I can't remember the other couple.
Forte's not there.
Out for a while, and one other guy they lost too. So they're really thin from a roster spot. So that's really concerning to me. Some of their top players have gone. But you got a team led by Tyshawn Taylor, who, ex-NBA guy. He's going to put it up and make a really good run here. He's got some good complementary pieces. I know they're really high on Armani Brooks. So let's wait and see what happens. Obviously, that's why we play the game. So on paper right now, Team Brotherly Love looks like they're going to dominate. So let's take a look at the picks and see what Mike thinks.
Yeah, Mike, what do you got here?
Oh, I love Brotherly Love. I mean, they're fantastic. They're able to switch 1 through 5. They shoot, they pass, they play the right way. And I think if you're a first-time alumni team in this tournament, sometimes there's a little growing pains, and it's a really bad matchup for Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Shane, what are you thinking here?
If I'm Aberline Drive, this is not the team that I want coming up to me next. I'll just be honest. Brotherly Love is one of the best as far as moving the ball. They do it about as good as anybody in TBT. And then adding Khalif White to that is going to make him even tougher.
Yeah. Temple boys. Charge. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, this team's ridiculous. Like I said, Shane kind of tipping his hat a little bit in round 2, that matchup against Everline. And, there's just so much cohesion here. And the talent is so deep top to bottom. I mean, I don't know who's going to lead a team in scoring night to night, because any given day they have someone that can step up and really make a difference. They went hardcore in training camp. They all live together, played together, that Philadelphia grit. And, this game, I think the game could have been much closer, a little bit different before a little bit of the attrition that Stillwater had. But, this one looks pretty clear to be Brotherly Love right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, and the thing is, I actually was going to pick Stillwater for full roster despite being a first-time alum team. I mean, Brown, Cobbins, and Forte losing. I mean, Tyshawn Taylor's a great creator, obviously, and an NBA guy and a great player. But when your distributor loses his big, his top scorer, and his top long-range shooter, who's he passing to? I mean, there's still talent. Armani Brooks can fill it up. Brown, the other Brown, really good roster still, Williams. But still, they're not have enough depth. I think what's going to happen is the physicality of Brother Love's going to wear them down. I think of a full roster, this might have been the best first-round game. I was most looking forward to this game, in fact, in the first round. But without a full roster, I just can't assume – Brother Love, I think, will win this fairly easily because of the thinness of what's left of Stillwater. Guys, are we missing anything here? What else should we bring up?
Yeah, no, I think this one's going to be pretty easy. And just curious I know a lot of people we talked to recently, Magic Juan's going to hopefully be on later to talk about the lines of some of these games, but sportsbook.ag has Team Brotherly Love an 8-point favorite right now. So
that's a lot in a basketball game.
So, yeah, and I'll just share those just in case Juan doesn't show on. He's the expert. We're kind of new to this, but sportsbook.ag is the one site that I've seen have the line so far, and 8 points on this one.
They'll cover that.
Yeah, I would take that all day.
They will. I would think they would cover. And again, it's not a disrespect to Stillwater. Stillwater has their full roster. This might have been my favorite first-round game. A full Stillwater, it's what I love. That was going to be an all-out football game war. It's a roster attrition thing, not a quality of program thing.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, moving ahead. In the night slate, skip there. And this is the one that I'm kind of now looking forward to second most. My alumni team, the University of Illinois, House of Pain, that changed hats, versus number 17 War Tampa. And the House of Pain, no real notable experience in this. A couple guys have played a few minutes. Finke played with BC, never been here before. NBA talent and Billy Garrett. Alumni teams tend to play pretty well together. But at the same time, a kind of dearth of TBT experience. Definitely some talent here, but not experience with the format. Mike Dahm obviously is going to be a really, really, really solid player up front and help them score with Garrett. But still, who are they playing?
They're going to be taking on War Tampa. So obviously the big story of TBT 2020 in the offseason. So they still got to come up and produce. on the court. But just loaded with shooters. I mean, when you got Bryce Brown and Fletcher McGee, you're going to be in great shape. Brent Jackson, who we have highlighted here, he can shoot with the best of them. So this is just a real.
He's so bashful.
Yeah, very confident guy. They got some great defenders, some great size. Talking with some people, Shaheed Davis is getting really rave reviews right now. Justin Gray getting some nice reviews from the folks who have been watching these guys. And so they're going to be a tough matchup for House of Pain. So, Mike, who do you have in this one?
Oh, I got War Tampa. I just think that their organization this year has been fantastic. Even with the couple of losses that they have, they just seem to have something going. They got too many shooters. They know what this tournament's about. And, no offense to Illinois, I'm just very kind of biased against first-time alumni teams. And, until they prove me wrong, which I'm sure a couple of them will.
Of course.
Fair enough. Shane, what are you thinking here?
I think also War Tampa is just going to be too much. I think all the shooters they probably have more momentum going into this tournament than anybody. I'm excited to watch Fletcher McGee, obviously. And then obviously seeing Mike Dahlman on the other side will be somebody I've been looking forward to watching. But I think that War Tampa is going to get it up and down the floor and probably be able to get as many shots as they want up.
Yeah. Charge, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, same thing. I'm not going to kind of beat a dead horse on this one, for my opening comments. But the interesting thing on this is for the sports bettors out here, right now they have House of Pain as a 4.5-point favorite in this matchup. So if that's your thing, if wagering on the TBT is your thing, this goes completely opposite of what every TBT fan is kind of expecting from this game. So
by all means, go hit that now. Go hit that money now.
All right, Hainer, bring us home on this one.
I know it's not going to shock anybody because I am basically the president of the War Tampa fan club in the TBT community, but I also picked War Tampa. I think, and again, we talk about Charge and I approach this from a different angle. He's more of a G League guy. I'm more of a college guy. Anytime you get that Auburn DNA, that pressing Bruce Pearl, balls to the wall, 94-foot DNA with a bunch of guys who also are hungrier guys like Jackson's from a smaller school, willing to run through walls. I don't see them losing this game. And again, no disrespect. I think Mike Dahlman's a great player. I think they can really get some moves down low. I see a lot of quality with Illinois. I just don't think they got enough. It's not that they're a bad team. I just think War Tampa's going to get what they want on defense and convert defense to offense. What am I missing, guys? Anything we're missing here?
Not in this one. I think we covered it all. War Tampa.
Okay, War Tampa, pretty much unanimous. Now, this is an interesting one. This closes out our first, the 4th of July. Team CP3 with new to the program, new to the party, long-term participant, primetime players, a replacement for Mid-American Unity. Bummer, we don't see Romeo Travis. Team CP3 is obviously GM'd by the great CP3, the great Chris Paul. But their roster's taking some hits. I mean, we read the ESPN article that talked about the fact that Hairston and Meeks are playing, and they're not playing as far as we can tell. They're not on the website. So still a lot of talent here, still some scoring. You're going to be led by Nate Mason out of Minnesota, really great player. And there's still definitely a very talented roster of TBT experience. But not having Meeks, not having Hairston, it does cause some issues. In Charge, talk about friend of the pod, primetime players.
Yeah, prime time. So these guys are a fixture as well. So, Mike and Shane know these guys well. They've all been in the TBT circle for a really long time now. And the thing that you have to remember with prime time, and you're not going to know all the names on the screen. You're going to be like, give me Nate Mason all day long on CP3. So you're not going to know all the names, but they play hundreds and hundreds of games over the years together. The cohesion is there. Chris Thomas is just cool as a cucumber. I mean, he just totally calm and cool, and he's going to lead this team to where they need to go. And they got a really, really good guard duo there. So Moore's been around for a while. He's going to light it up. And Robert Turner, I'm hearing a lot of great things about what he's going to bring to the TBT and the expectations out of him. So that's the team, and let's see where we're going with this one, Mike.
Mike, what do you got?
Oh, I got primetime players. Hey, Chris Moore knows what he's doing. And Sean Barnett doesn't get enough credit. I think he played in Romania with Oradia. He played with a friend of mine, Jordan Watson, and they won a couple of championships out there. They just know how to play. there is no one in this tournament that is going to walk all over this team. If you're going to beat Primetime, you're going to have to beat them in a close game because they're not going to go out without a fight. So just based on experience, I got to go with Primetime.
Shane, weigh in.
Yeah, same thing Mike said. They're always going to be 100% playing hard. They got two former Showtime players, Dre Britton and Ricardo Glenn. I'm looking forward to watching those two guys play. And then obviously, if you got Chris Moore and Sean Barnett, you're going to have a chance in any game. Then you're throwing in Christian Keeling and Robert Turner, both who's coming from big-time D1 schools. That'll be interesting to see how those two fit in with them.
Charge?
Yeah, it's prime time. So, same thing. We've kind of talked about them, highlighted their stuff. So I won't go any further just for the sake of time on the Zoomcast. And there currently is no line on this game, at least on sportsbook.ag. So, Hayner, bring us home on this one. No surprise?
No surprise. From the pod, primetime players. And it's not a question of talent it's talent versus cohesion. Primetime being a minor league fixture, being experienced at this. I think cohesion in basketball definitely gets undersold sometimes. And the primetime guys play together. They play for each other. They play as a unit. So when the talent is not against them in a major way, I fully see them walking out of here with a win. I think they're going to win this game. Not easily, because every game they're in is a fight, but I think they're going to definitely have a shot to win out of here and even give the next round a fair run for their money. Guys, what else? Anything else here?
I just want to say congratulations to Primetime that they're in, because I remember they were told they had no shot. And look, here we are, July 3rd, and we're talking about them. So I think they have a chance to make a deep run.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So that closes our first round of games. Looking at those games, Shane, what game are you most looking forward to watching?
I think Big X and D2 will be the most interesting game. I think that'll be pretty tight.
Yeah. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think that'd be the game to look at too, because is this going to be the year Big X breaks through?
Yeah. Charge, what do you got for your most interesting first game?
Yeah, no, really all of them. But yeah, I was going to say Big XD2, but I think, and I said this on one of the previous, I'm just really excited about War Tampa. Matt's been a friend of the pod and really did a great job as a GM fielding this team. So I'm just really excited to see what they put on the court and, hopefully that effort on the court matches what went on before TBT, because this is a real well thought out team, and they definitely deserve any accolades they get.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Charge there. I think that War Tampa game is the game I most look forward to seeing. A style of play, pressing, aggressive. I can't wait to watch the game. That's a game I'm definitely most looking forward to. That brings us to Sunday. We're halfway through the preview, and we're going to talk a little bit about replacement for Jimmy V. From the pod, really feel bad for those guys. Looking forward to seeing some of those guys play. They've been great. But they're replaced by the very capable Peoria All-Stars against the 23rd Herd. Charge.
Yeah, so I'll take the Peoria one. I researched them a little bit earlier today. So number 10 seed, and they've been in the tournament 3 times. And this is one, where, their record hasn't shown how good they are yet. They want to play in game back into 2018. They did really well in the Jamboree in 2017. So, they can beat teams. And so I heard that's not going to be able to sleep on these guys. They're led by a couple guys, Trayvon Allen, kid from Idaho, great point guard, just coming out of college. So got some young legs there. And then Kendall Davis, another point guard. But they're bringing a couple giants with them. You got Menzies. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. 7-3. So the Herd, that team has been preparing for 7-3 Hashims to beat, but they'll get Menzies instead. And then Barr's like 6'11", I believe is what I recall on him. So a couple good guards, a couple giants, and they're excited about the matchup.
And that matchup's against Herd, who's also, we've had them on the show. We've had Odd on the show, really quality team. Kind of caught a break here. I really thought Jimmy was going to kind of run them, and now they're in a slightly more favorable matchup. A lot of shooting on this roster. You can see the scoring totals, 21, 18, 18. What they lack in defense, they have in scoring punch. They even said openly on the interview, Otflat said, he was like, I want to run. He goes, you don't win by giving up points. You win by scoring points. He says you outscore your opponents. So their philosophy is very simple. Get that ball and jack it up. So there's going to be, if nothing else, an entertaining team to watch with a lot of high pick and rolls. So, Mike, what are you thinking here? Who wins this game?
I like the Marshall team in this situation. I think that it's kind of set up perfectly for them. They got good shooters. They seem to be more organized this year than they were in previous years. So I think that's why I'm going with them. Close game, though.
Okay. Shane.
I'm also going with Herd That. I'm not too familiar with the Peoria team, but I know that Herd That will be able to score some points. They added two very good players in Zach Smith and Ja'Cory Williams.
Charge?
Ja'Cory Williams of the Canton Charge. So, so they're going to look good there. Same story. I think Elmore just solid. He's going to be hard to stop. He's going to, be good for 20-plus and a few threes. And then Ja'Cory's going to bring a lot of toughness inside. I watched a lot of their social media, and Ja'Cory looks great. And can't wait to see him back in action here in the States. Hayner, bring us home. You going to do something different and go with Peoria?
Nah, I'm going to go for that as well. I literally Peoria's replacement today. I don't even know enough about them. I'm still researching them. But I do know this. I know that the Elmores and some of their guys, they're going to run a lot of high screen and roll. That 7-3 guy, I really want to see him in space on a 1-5 pick and pop. I want to see how he hedges. I want to put him in motion at the top of a 1-4 and see him get cooked. So I'm really curious if Peoria's going to be able to control a lot of high screen action, because that's what Herd That's going to feed off of. A lot of getting guys sprung for open looks off high screens. And I want to see that 7'3" guy come out and cover a high screen and roll. I want to see if he's even capable of doing that. It really interests me in that game from an X's and O standpoint. Anything else we're missing here?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, let's go ahead to the next game. Now, this one's a sexy one. I like this one. This is going to be fun. It's 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. You got Team Hines versus Sideline Cancer. Now, Team Hines, I'm letting the people at ESPN know this. Hines and Cleveland aren't playing for them. So if you're on the worldwide leader, you might want to research that. But they're not playing. So Team Hines is without Hines, but they do still have some serious talent. I mean, you've got guys like Griffin who can really fill it up. You got Brown. You got Paul. And where did Paul play in the G League?
That would be the Canton Charge.
And what does the Canton Charge mean to your winning chances, Charge?
It means you have a 25% more likelihood of winning than if you did not have a Canton Charge player. So, so this one here is going to be a very interesting game. They have 3 Charge on their team. So You got Brandon Paul, you got Marcus Thornton, and you have Gilbert Brown. So it's really the trio of goodness here for Team Hines.
And Thornton's one of the few overseas elite players who's actually playing in this tournament, since the entire overseas elite team has basically been rebuilt from the ground up today. So having that championship pedigree can't hurt. Also having more from teams last year for continuity. Hap's going to be a beast in the post. There's a lot of talent here. Charge, what's the other side of the coin?
Yeah, the other side of the coin is our good friends, Sideline Cancer. And this team is better than they were last year. They made that nice run last year. They've been in the TBT every year, very competitive team every year. So they're bringing back that same core of people that you're used to hearing, the Marcus Keens, the Maurice Creeks, the Remy Abels. But on top of that, they're adding Artis, which is an amazing player out of Pittsburgh. You've got Diamond Stone, Hayner's favorite player in the TBT 2020 this year, so adding some good size. And so this team is probably the best Sideline Cancer team that they put out there to date. So crazy matchup.
Not my favorite player. Not my favorite plaer. My favorite player is without a doubt Adonis Thomas for Eberline Drive, just because he's a Memphis guy. Got to correct you there. Billy Clapper with a great team is assembled. A lot of talent here. Abel and Creek. Wow, Charge. Abel and Creek, that's some talent in the shooting guard position.
Yeah, no, they're ridiculous. Like I said, this is my favorite Sideline Cancer team of all time right now, and they just got an incredibly tough matchup versus Hines. So let's see how that's going to shake out. So, Mike, who do you have in this matchup?
Oh, man, this was the hardest game to pick, and I love Mo Smith and I love Team Hines. But when you're playing for a cause and there's no fans, and it's so hard to pick against Billy Clapper in this spot. It's almost like he's built for these spots. Like, he loves the idea of being the underdog. And I think they're going to find a way to win the game. It'll be a close game, and they're going to find a way to pull it out.
What do you think, Shane?
This one hurt to pick against Billy Clapper. He's one of the nicest guys, I think, in TBT. But I think Team Hines, if they can show some cohesion, they're probably one of the most talented teams playing in the first round.
Fair enough. Charge.
Yeah, same. I ended up going Hines. This is one I kept scratching off, sideline Hines, sideline Hines. But I just think they've got a good mix of players. Hap at a big. Griffin's ridiculously athletic. You've got Brandon Paul, ex-NBA guy, very versatile. Marcus Thorne's one of the best shooters in the world, sets a charge record by a landslide for threes in a season. And so I think this is going to be a really close game, but got too much charge flavor for me to pass up, and I think they have a little more talent this year. Crazy thing here is the line on this game right now at sportsbook.ag is Hines a 9-point favorite. I would be taking sideline cancer all day. This is going to be a dogfight, back and forth, so close. So if you're into that betting thing, Hines 9-point favorite right now.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. I don't need the 9 points. I'm gonna pick him straight up. I'll tell you why, honestly, like not just what Mike said about the cause, but cohesion. Again, like Hines not having Hines and Cleveland, they've added an insanely talented roster. Like if it's talent only, I'm picking Hines all day. I think they're a more talented team, but the cause and cohesion, the being together, having a little more continuity in the way their roster is constructed. Plus, TBT is a guards game, and we talk about Stone, and Stone is a good player, but like Keene, Abel, I mean, like I don't see that backcourt getting denied. They're going to get a lot of what they want. And cheap buckets feed teams in TBT. In fact, I'm pretty sure, Mike, you were talking about Keene being one of your favorite players, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of them. What people have to remember about this game is if you play this game in the EuroLeague, it's Hines all day.
All day.
This is not the EuroLeague. This is the TBT. And the way that Sideline Cancer designs their teams, even though the players may have lesser name, their style is perfectly fit for this. It's much like primetime players. They're not going out without a fight.
Yeah, definitely. Charge, though, I mean, like that 9-point thing, that's a joke, right? You're kidding.
No, yeah, I was surprised when I looked at it. Someone sent me the lines earlier today asking if I've seen them, and that one there is crazy. So it'd be interesting. I can't remember what Juan had last night when he was on the show, but he's going to hopefully be on and give some updates.
He's supposed to be on in a bit. Shane, you picked Hines, obviously, but if I'm giving sideline 9 points, you're switching to sideline on that, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Like I would not be shocked at all if sideline did win.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a close game. I think the bettors had this completely wrong. But we'll find out. Okay. And then we're to the evening slate. This was an interesting one. Hardfire versus friend of the pod, Menamaki. They're going to try to come on, actually, but they actually had some commitments tonight, so they can't come on. So we'll hopefully have them on at some point again in the future. Really quality program. Start with Hardfire, though. This is pretty loaded. And actually, there's an error on the slide I have to fix. They were actually – no, I'm all right. Never mind. I keep confusing them with Loyalty is Love because of last year. I keep seeing that jersey. And Loyalty is Love, you have Isaiah Austin leading the front court. It's a very talented team. Jordan Adams, I believe, Jordan Adams is going to play for – he played for you once, didn't he?
I've been trying to get Jordan Adams to play with us for 2 years, and it doesn't work out.
But yeah, we had Jordan Adams and you on the show, one of our earlier episodes talking about Team 23, and that was one of my favorite shows. So obviously having Jordan Adams there, I mean, Mike, he's definitely a very talented player, right?
Oh, he's awesome. In fact, this whole game has Team 23 flavor all over it because Larry Owens is also with Hardfire and Frank Gaines is playing with Purdue.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at this roster. I mean, this is from a talent standpoint. Speaking of a talent, I mean, Austin up front, Owens in the wing and play some D. Adams can fill it up. Wood and Lyons and Carter. I mean, it's a pretty loaded squad. What are they facing, Charge?
Yeah, so they're going to face the Menamaki, and the Menamaki is probably one of my favorite teams in regards to really improving their position over the last couple of weeks. So these guys here, they added, where did it go? Justin Detman. They picked up Ronald Moore. And so they got some pieces around them now. They got some experience with Frank Gaines as well. So these guys have run in the same circles and have played together. So I think this one here, they've really improved their situation the most. And they've got a really, really tough matchup against Heartfire, really, high-powered offense over there. So we'll see how this plays out. Haas versus Austin is going to be a great battle. So we'll see how they go. Played with Armored Athlete last year, so got a little TBT experience under his belt and should be ready for that big matchup. So, Mike, what do you think in this one? Who are you taking?
I'm taking Hardfire. I mean, it's hard to go against Frank, but Jordan and Larry, they're my guys. I know what to expect. I still think Isaiah Austin is the most talented big that this tournament has seen, and he'll be the difference in that game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Shane.
Going with Heartfire as well. I think Isaiah Austin, like Mike said, is probably the most talented big in this tournament. I think him and Isaac Haas will be a very interesting matchup to watch.
Yeah. Charge.
Yeah, all the same reasons. Going with Heartfire. I think there's just a little too much firepower over there. Love what Menamaki has done as a first-year team. GM did a fantastic job really getting some good pieces together and adjusting as things went on. The crazy thing about this game, and get ready for it, the odds makers at sportsbook.ag has Menamaki a 1.5-point favorite in this matchup.
Go to your Roth IRA, empty it, and put it on Heartfire.
So, and Juan was on last night explaining some of this. So, and maybe just because of the familiarity, people kind of don't know what Heartfire is compared to, Purdue. Yeah, put it on Purdue, big school, put it on Purdue. So we'll see how this one goes, and can't wait to get Juan on later to see how it shakes out. But that's what it looks like right now.
And I've got Heartfire as well. And by the way, it's not just respect to say that, you should put your money on Heartfire if that's spread. Because the thing is, I don't see Purdue winning this game. I see them keeping it close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think if you're giving Heartfire points, I think you gotta take that. I mean, both straight up and against the spread, Heartfire here's a pretty clear win. Isaiah Austin's almost unstoppable in the post. A lot of talent. Gaines will keep him in it. There's a lot of nice Purdue parts, but I don't see this being a game that is gonna go the Purdue Menamaki's way. And by the way, if you're listening, guys, at Menamaki, feel free to come on tomorrow when you win or Sunday when you win and give me the absolute business for saying that. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely a quality team. So by all means, come and yell at me. And by the way, also, if you want to come and yell at us tonight, the meeting ID is at the bottom of the show. We got one more game to pick. So feel free to come in after and yell at me and Charge and Mike and Shane a little bit. One more game to talk about, and this is my favorite game of the whole first round, actually. They know what they're doing lining this up. This game's going to be straight fire. Friends of the pod, great squads. And you're starting with Armored Athlete, who, by the way, we recorded an episode with today. We're going to release it tomorrow. Great team. 15 seed, 11 TBT wins, a program. They took a lot of roster switches, though. A lot of guys, they're supposed to have Dominic Jones, supposed to have White, lost a lot of talent through just defections due to the fact of all of 2020, basically, but still a lot of talent. The add of Waterman really helps the front court from Team Dratty. A lot of scoring. Scott Machado, Australian MVP level player. Hicks on the wing. A lot of talent. As usual, AJ has a loaded squad to play with. And who's the opponent, Charge?
Yeah, so they're going to be playing Power of the Paw. So they 1-1 in the TBT first year last year, and they played really well last year. So, Mike, they took it to you, unfortunately. But beat Team 23 in the first round, and then lost a really tight game to the CP3 team that had, Meeks and, some of those other guys on there. So it was a real quality CP3 team, lost to those guys. And what I really like about this team is that they are really building on the success from last year. So they got some of their top players back from last year, and Reed, DeVoe are coming back, added some key pieces like a Cognan. Dante Grantham's back. Jakeem Gant's a really good ball player. Seen him in the G League this year. And they got a lot of young guys, some fresh legs. Got a training camp in, and so it's going to be a great matchup against Armored Athletes. So let's see how this one plays out. Mike, what do you have? And before you make your pick, Mike, no pressure. We have Jess and Brian and AJ all listening for your pick right here. So let's hear it.
As much as I have the utmost respect for AJ Mahar, it just seems like the universe is telling him something right now with all these losses of players. And when you're watching the videos of the Clemson guys and they look like they're into it, you haven't heard many things about positive tests. And really watching them last year when they played us, they spread the floor out very well and they attack the basket and get to the free throw line. That's a dangerous combination. So I'll give them like a 2-point edge in this.
Yeah. Shane, where are you going?
I think it'll be a close game as well. I would have definitely been picking Armored Athlete if the roster would have been what it originally was. They're usually one of the strongest teams in TBT, but all the players they've lost. And only having 7 guys is going to be tough for them.
Charge, break some hearts.
Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to. Every time I put Armored Athlete on, I scratch it out. I write down Armored Athlete. It's like a bug in that damn bug zapper. I don't know why, but I'm just sitting here, and every time I look at this game, I want Armored Athlete. Great folks. Love everything about them. You know, they've been real kind to us with their time on Zoom to TBT, but I am just drawn to Power to Pawn. I can't get it out of my head. I just think they have something good going on here. They really built on their roster from last year to approve it, and as painful as it is, love you guys, Armored Athlete. I just can't stay away from the light. It is pulling me in, and I've got to go Power to Paw.
Okay, well, you know what? I think we're going to make this unanimous. No, we're not going to make it unanimous. I'm going to stick with Armored Athlete. I think, and by the way, this is the hardest game to pick out of all of them. This is going to be a war. Like, I actually had Brotherly Love and Stillwater is the toughest first round games. I really thought Stillwater with all their full roster was going to be, that was my game I was looking forward to. This is now that game. And Armored has lost enough to bring them back to puzzle. They're both great teams. I'm not sure how they're going to contain Marquise Reed, but I trust the culture at Armored Athlete to win this game. I'm a little less high on them because of all the defections. I don't think I have them in the Final Four like I did before. But having said that, like, they're still, I think they can come out of this game still, because they're a really quality team. But I mean, like, this is a straight pick 'em. Like, I would be shocked if the gambling picks had them, either team, more than a 1-point favorite. Charge, do you have the number in front of you?
Yeah. So right now we have it at 3 points. Power to Paw is the favorite still. And make sure you tune into our Zoomcast episode tomorrow. I think we're going to release that. We had AJ on, we had Scott Machado on, and these guys are ridiculously good, and this is definitely the matchup around one. I mean, we talked to a couple other games that are interesting. I think that D2 Big X is going to be a really high-powered. There's 2 really good teams button heads, but this one here is definitely the premier matchup of round one. But, yeah, right now they have it at 3 points, and and these are one of the ones, Nick's a really good guy, generous with his time with us, and, good luck to them, but I would not be disappointed if Armored Athlete showed up, made the upset. It's Scott, amazing. Can't wait to have you guys hear what he had to say on the Zoom to TBT tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a really great episode, really loose. Scott was great. Scott was really good his time. AJ and BJ are awesome. And let's be clear, like, both these teams are friends of the pod, obviously. So there's some, obviously we like both teams, but like, this is the game I anticipate being my favorite game in the whole first round. So I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight. And I think either team is capable of not only winning this game, but beating the fake Rolex version of OE without Kennedy, without Kane, without McCollum. They're still a crazy talented team, but like, the winner of this game is going to have a puncher's chance against OE, whichever team wins, I think, honestly.
Absolutely.
So on that note, let's go ahead and let's talk about all the picks. So we have them all on the board. This is all the teams we've picked in the first round on a graphic. Obviously, a lot of cohesion around Brotherly Love, Tampa, Primetime, Heard That, Heartfire. We have a lone holdout, Shane going Big S. We have a lone holdout on me going Armored, and we basically full split Hines and Sideline. We'll bring Juan in a minute. Juan is here. So Juan, if you're listening, we can't wait to have you on to discuss these. But guys, like, for example, Shane, which game are you most confident about your pick on?
Brotherly Love. It's got to be Brotherly Love.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. Mike, what game are you most confident about?
I'd probably go with the Heartfire game.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about Charge? What's your easiest pick here on the board?
Heard that. I think some of the other ones, those are still some really good teams. Brotherly Love's playing and Heartfire's playing. And I think there's just so many unknowns with Peoria. I think they lack experience. Not a single one of their players has played into TBT before. Some of them are just out of college. I think Heard that is going to be the biggest win of round one.
Yeah, I think the one I'm most confident about actually is probably the same thing. Heard that just because Peoria just found out they're playing a game tomorrow today. I don't even know anything about them. I'm sure they're a quality squad. So one time we haven't even had a chance to research yet. I don't doubt their professional quality, but I don't know if they're going to be able to hang. So we'll see what happens. Is this a good time to bring in Juan?
Yeah, let's bring in Juan and talk a little bit about the lines. He's going to have the updated lines for us. So let's get Juan in.
Okay, so we're going to introduce Juan when he's muted right now. We're going to bring him in now. But Juan, what's going on, man?
What's happening, guys? Lots happened since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, it's been less than 24 hours and all hell is broken loose.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I'm looking right now as we speak at these sportsbook.ag lines, and there is, to me, I don't see how there's any rational thinking behind Team Hines being a 9-point favorite in this game. Like I can see maybe 2 or 3. 9 is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's nuts. So, other lines, do you have what you would say is the ones we talked about? Look at these lines. Where would you put the money if you were putting money on these? I assume that 9-point spread for sideline or for Team Hines must sound pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I think I'm going to call my financial advisor and tell him to liquidate all my assets. And maybe put it on sideline cancer. And then the Heartfire one is troubling too. I think they're the better, they're the more talented team. They're probably a better coach team at this point. You know, Homer Drew Billy Kennedy. Like I said, he's one of the top 3 or 4 coaches in the tournament. And I don't see any way how they're an underdog in this game. But those are the two my 2 favorite ones. Obviously, D2 doesn't have a line yet. I like them to win the game outright. There's a few people that have hit me up on Twitter trying to get in on Big X -3. I think D2 is just the better, more cohesive team. Maybe not as talented like I mentioned yesterday. And then the brotherly love, after doing some more analysis today based on both of the rosters, I think 8 is a fair line. I would make it 6 or 7, but 8's about fair.
Real quick, just so we can talk about this, now the graphics up. Can you read the lines off so we can talk about this a little bit more? What do we have here? It's Big X -3.
Yeah, I'm keeping it at -3.
Okay, Brotherly Love.
Brotherly Love, -6.
-6. Yo, that sounds like a tough one.
Yeah.
War Tampa Pain.
Sportsbook.ag has it at -4.
For Pain, right? For Pain.
Pain -4. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it at -2. I think that that game's a 1 possession game either way. And I'm going to keep it at -2.
And that's just purely because of the Big Ten Illinois money, right? That's not because of the quality of the game. Like, we all like Tampa to win outright. So that's just that Big Ten money. Now, is there a line yet for CP3?
There isn't. No, there's not. The primetime players versus CP3 game, that is not up there. You know, I know you guys were mentioning that, primetime players just found out they were playing a game about 24 hours ago. So
yeah.
They're probably going to put that lineup in the morning or close to game time, or maybe even tonight. I'm pretty confident. I'm going to go with the same line I had yesterday. Although I do know both of the additions that primetime players have. One of them is actually a Pedro's Posse guy.
By the way, it helps to remember Juan is the former GM of Pedro's Posse. We have to mention that.
Zarek Lolar's a Pedro's Posse guy. So he's playing with the primetime players. I didn't even know he was playing with them until his dad called me this morning and told me. So, and then when I was doing my research this afternoon, I saw that he was on their roster. So I'm going to keep it at primetime players -1. I would think that line, the professionals are going to make it CP3 -2 strictly because of the name recognition that Chris Paul has.
That makes sense. What about Herd? That is there a line for that one yet?
It's not up yet. Just because Peoria found out they were playing, what was it, 4 or 5 hours ago? It's quite a turn of events for Herd. That I mean, they go from playing Jimmy V, I don't think there's any argument that they were a much more superior roster talent with Peoria, and that's obviously that's no disrespect to them. I think it's the facts speak for themselves. But I did some research on Peoria's roster and analyze Marshall's a little bit further before we came on, and I'm going to make Marshall a 4-point favorite.
4.
If I can get that, I'm taking that. By the way, I'm down. If someone posts that, they can have my next page.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take that. Now, Hines sideline, that 9-point thing, you don't agree with that at all, right?
I don't, no. And I mean, this is just a classic case of, again, there's not, based on the way that teams odds makers make lines, they have algorithms and stats to go behind certain players. And being that Team Hines has more guys with NBA experience, or more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not legitimate, but more, Brandon Paul played a lot longer in the NBA than Diamond Stone did. So in analyzing that, I think the name recognition and what Team Hines accomplished in the tournament goes a long way to making that. But I mean, my favorite bet of the weekend, based on the sportsbook.ag lines, is sideline cancer. That line should be, I mean, I had him at a pick 'em. I wasn't even going to move off it. So if it's a 9-point difference, I mean, if I like sideline cancer at pick 'em, I love him at +9.
Yeah. I don't even see, like, how often do games in the TBT, maybe Charge or even some of our experts know that, how often does a 9-point game happen in the Elam Minden? Not that often, right?
Well, earlier in the tournament, like in the first or maybe even the second round, it might happen just because of the disparity of the teams. But this being such a more condensed tournament with unique situations, you're not going to see teams get, I mean, essentially with this being the biggest line of the weekend, they think Team Hines is just going to blow sideline cancer out of the water. And I just don't see that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. All right. Yeah, and you already talked about the Heartfire one, and then we talked on the show last night with Power to Paw and Armored Athlete. So you still on 3? Same thing as Sportsbook right now?
Yeah, Sportsbook has the same line I have. So I guess they see roughly the same thing I see there. With the Heartfire Menamaki line, like I mentioned yesterday, Heartfire. I mean, if I had to pick a team out of any one of these 16 teams that are playing in these next 2 days that has a chance to go all the way and win the whole thing, I would pick them. So I think that obviously I thought they should be a 6-point favorite, and they're a 1.5-point dog. But obviously the Purdue brand goes a long way with that.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So, we appreciate you jumping back on, Juan, and updating us on the odds as you see it, and tying it into kind of some of the sportsbook.ag. I know, obviously, people know where to find you on Twitter if they want to talk about the lines and odds making. You're always more than generous with your time as well, talking TBT and especially talking lines. So, anything else that stands out from an odds making standpoint before we get to closing on this thing?
Okay, yeah. So I remember you guys asked me about the different types of wagers yesterday. One of the reasons I'm not a big fan of futures wagers is because of circumstances that could change throughout the season. So In this case, everybody saw Overseas Elite's roster 48 hours ago, and it's like, oh, well, there's no way they're losing. But you look at the roster and the circumstances that happen now, and all of a sudden it's just, they probably went from a significant favorite in a field of 24 teams to maybe, they're still up there in terms of favorites to win the whole thing, but they aren't as prohibitive as they were even 24 hours ago.
Hey, Juan, it's Mike Illiano. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you again. I think you made a comment about the 9-point line on the Heinz sideline cancer game. And I think there was a statistic last year that of the 63 tournament games, 27 of them ended in 5 or 6 points or less. And I think the NCAA tournament had about 24 5 points or less. So 9 points, I mean, what is that? About 40% of the games end 5 points or less. 9 points is a lot.
Yeah, no, 9 points in a winner-take-all game between from what I see it, like I explained yesterday, I think Team Heinz has a better backcourt and a slightly better set of wings, but the bigs for sideline cancer, I think, are better. And Marcus Keene was one of the top 5 players out, the very worst in the whole TBT last year. So again, I think a lot of it has to do Team Heinz being such a slight or such a heavy favorite with name recognition. Obviously last year they were a pretty successful team with having a lot of higher level European guys, and that's slightly the case this year. Even if it wasn't as they don't have the names they had last year, but sideline cancer, man, they got some guys that can play on that team. And I just think that it's, like you said, 40% of the games last year ended within 5 or 6 points. And with it being such a condensed set of unique circumstances, I think you will see that number raise this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'll see that number go higher because this is TBT is like you and I both know it's a 36-minute game, and sometimes even less with the Elam ending. So there's no easing into the game. There's no possessions off, so to speak. You really have to bring it every possession, and for two teams that are evenly matched, with one having a slighter advantage over the other, I just think 9 points is pretty crazy. It's a 36-minute game, and sometimes even less.
Yeah, right on. Jess is on. I'm a little afraid of that. But hey, Shane, before we bring Jess in, do you kind of follow the lines in the games in this manner, or how do you look at this?
Being the first year, I've not really been a part of it. Yeah, this is actually the first year I've kind of focused in on it, but I'm definitely intrigued by the War Tampa +4.
There you go. Get your money in.
Get your money in.
Here she is.
What up? I had to go in the room, get the jersey on. I was feeling all types of stuff.
I'm afraid to even look at the camera at you. so shamed. But
we're actually going to go to camera as opposed to the slides now. So there we go.
Oh my gosh. That game is wild. I'm just tell me why.
Tough game.
Honestly, Hainer, he just he went with you guys just to kiss some butt, but not a kid.
Piss off.
But the rest of us want power to pod. Jess, make your case. What?
Listen, I know we've had the roster turnover, but I think that the guys that we do have, I mean, obviously it's hard for me to say because I'm not there, but everything I'm hearing from, AJ and BJ and it's interesting because with this bubble, right? Like the guys have no choice but to spend all this time together and build that cohesive bond. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you guys said, Machado was MVP caliber player in Australia, which is one of my absolute favorite leagues in the world. Robertson did great stuff for us. He's going to come out firing. I'm so pumped about this game on Sunday. Like I wish it was sooner. I'm like freaking out about it, but it'll be good.
Yeah, no, paying you not to be there.
You should do Twitch.
Yeah, I'm seriously considering it. I don't know. Well,
I would watch your stream instead of the ESPN. So if you do it, make sure it's on social.
I might be able to set something up. We'll see what happens.
That'd be fun. Yeah. If you do, definitely let me. Sorry, Hannah, I interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
No, just saying. So, Jess, how much is it killing you not to be there?
Man, it's tough. I tell everyone TBT is the best part of my year. It's the best part of my summer. And so I'm thankful I'm not stuck in a hotel room, that's for sure. But
yeah,
it's also kind of my dream to be stuck in a hotel and have nothing to do.
Talk ball. Talk ball all day long. Yeah, and make sure you tune into our episode with AJ, an Armored Athlete. AJ was in his hotel for kind of a long time too, so interesting story there. Yeah, so make sure you tune in.
But it'll be good. I think what I'm gonna do is it'll be good though, because previous years, I've been on the bench and that's been awesome. But now this year I get to really focus on our social media and firing off clips and firing off, updates and stuff like that. I think tomorrow, if you guys want to weigh in, I plan on picking one game to kind of do that just from my personal account, and then I'll do it from Armored Athletes on Sunday.
Oh,
cool. I'm trying to figure out which game tomorrow to do that for, just to kind of get the rust off and get everything working. So.
Well, I guess pick one of the games. I mean, it's weird with the COVID stuff. Is like this is for the whole panel. Does anybody have any fun plans besides basketball for tomorrow? I'm going to a party myself that I don't even really give a damn about going to, which means I hope my friend's not watching.
It's gonna be cool. My mom actually spent the week setting up like this whole TV area by our pool, so that's what I plan on doing.
You got a pool. Where do you live, Jess? Where in the country do you live?
So I'm usually in Brooklyn, but yep. But I grew up in Albany, and I've been here since March 15th.
You're in Brooklyn. We haven't hung out and had beers yet. What the
Man, I'm just waiting for that invite.
Oh, that's done. When this is all over, we'll get a beer. Yeah, when it's all over. Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. Pool. I'm jealous. Does anybody else in this call have a pool?
Not me.
No. I actually got a question for Jess.
What's up?
Let it fly.
Jess, I'm a big fan of the NBL too in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think you and I both know that the best player in that league needs to play in this event. And I think both of our teams have asked him before, and he doesn't ever seem to want to do it, is Bryce Cotton. I mean, he is unbelievable. If you've ever seen him play, I think he's good enough to take any team in the TBT and put them right over the top.
Yep. I could not agree with you more. And we definitely tried again this year. I don't know if he still is, but at the time he was still in Australia. So there was just no way to get him. We weren't even sure if he could get back into the US with all of COVID and stuff like that. So
yeah, he's from Tucson, so he's from the Arizona area. So people are always telling me, you got to ask him. I'm like, the guy's $1 million player. There's only so many times I can ask him to play before I just back off,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's almost embarrassing how many times I stayed up at because they did a really good job this past year, especially with the Rising Star stuff.
That's an interesting program.
They had all the games on Facebook Live, so I was checking out all those games this past season. That league is just so much fun.
Can you explain the Rising Stars program real quick? So people watching, I know what it is, but some people won't know what it is. I do.
Yeah. It's a alternative for guys who don't think that maybe going NCAA is the best route for them.
Which is everybody, by the way, at this point.
And there have been guys to go to Australia before, but this was a designated program where they made sure that these younger guys were set up for success. And so you had RJ Hampton play for the Breakers, you had LaMelo Ball play for the Hawks, and it's another way for these guys to get seen. It's very, and I think a lot of that had a lot to do with why the NBA is starting to do their thing with the G League, and that's a little different though because they're going to have their own team of those guys. They were playing with pros. They were the youngest dude on their team, trying to play with these older professionals, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Hey, let me interrupt for 1 second and bring Juan back in. So Juan, you just sent me that screenshot. So are you saying, am I reading that right, that the Sports 411, they have heard that in Peoria even right now?
Yeah, that's what they have right now. Yeah. I think what they're going to do is, and this is another gambling thing, is if a book posts an obvious line error, then they'll remove the play, which I think it's an obvious line error. So that's why I only put what I put on it.
Hey, Juan, real quick, can you go ahead? What's the website again that we're all supposed to be going to? Bet what?
Okay, so sportsbook.ag has the lines up, and you can look without you can look at the basketball lines without having to have a login.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's some places like, obviously, my gamblers will know this, but depending on the website you use to wager, some lines may differ. So some lines may differ by a half a point or a point, but they're all roughly the same. So, like, for example, the website I use has House of Pain is a 3.5 point favorite instead of 4.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And last question, Juan, in regards to gambling, because it's all kind of new to me, and we'll get back to a general conversation. So those numbers on the side there, the 114 to 121 to 117. So obviously you're wagering, say, 121 to win 100. But what really fluctuates that line between game to game? Why would that be so much higher one game versus another?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember, the standard juice on a game is minus 110 or 10 cents. But what they do, like what some places do, if they feel like there's going to be a prohibitive or a certain amount of action on one side, before they move the number, they make it costlier to wager a certain side. So, for example, like, you mentioned the 117. So with the Marshall, the Herd that team, I had to risk 7 cents per dollar more than I would normally want to wager, because that's what they're charging to bet Marshall.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
So it's pretty much like, it's pretty much a way of them skimming a few extra cents in order for you to place a wager. So it's like, if you're making a sale or something and you charge a service fee for doing the service per se, like let's say the service fee is $100, and you charge an extra $20 just because you might have gone out of your way for an extra 2 minutes to do the service, and you're skimming them another $20. It's kind of something like that.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. All right, Jess, what were we talking about? I just saw that on my phone, and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta make sure. Yeah, and if anyone's on the call and we're taking up too much of your time, totally understand if you need to drop off. So back to you, Jess. What were we talking about?
I do real quick have to give a shout out to my man Luke, who's Brian's son. He was my, I guess he's watching right now, Brian. He was my right-hand man on the bench 2 summers ago. So Luke, what's up, my guy?
Yeah. Hey, great shout out. And I may have gone a different direction in that game if Brian was playing in the game. So you have a limited roster. Could have rostered Brian, chose not to.
That's
uneasy. I can't control that.
That infamous 3-pointer. Do you know who?
Yeah. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Closed out on him.
It's on Zoom to TBT tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. I won't say anything.
It's a great story. Yeah, it's a great story.
By the way, we got one more call in. We're going to go ahead, and I think it's a good place to end it. We got the coach of D2, Grant Leonard, joining us. Grant, what's up, my man?
How are you guys?
Is that beard like – or you look like the guy from Harry Potter who was like the gamekeeper, Hagrid. What happened there?
You know what? It's a magic thing. It just keeps growing.
That's what happens in quarantine. You just got to let it go.
Grant's married now. He ain't got to answer to nobody.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Congratulations. You get married and then tell your wife that I've got to go away for 14 days. We'll see you later. And ball comes first, obviously.
Yeah, it's a TBT bubble beard. It's a great thing.
Awesome. So, first of all, congrats on getting in. I know, we've been tracking your team for a while. Great year last year. On the bubble this year, didn't get in, which was a travesty, but ended up getting in. So kind of where's your focus been right now? So obviously a really big game against Big X coming up. So how you guys looking?
I think we're looking pretty good. I don't know what else I would say there other than we had a great training camp in North Carolina, and then we've had a couple good practices here in the bubble in Columbus, and our guys have been fantastic about just staying mentally sharp and pushing forward, even though they didn't know if we were going to play. And they really just believed that we would eventually get in.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like, how is the prep going? Because obviously you didn't know your opponent as early as some people. Like some people knew they were playing earlier. So like, how is the prep going knowing you're going to be playing Big X? Has it been sort of condensed due to the schedule?
The funny thing is I can look at what they did last year, but they have a lot of different players than they did last year. So really we're just more concerned about us, what our principles are going to be and staying locked in on having our ship move forward in our direction. So less worried about Big X, not because they're not good. They're a phenomenal team, but more because I don't know exactly what they're going to run. So our prep has to be more focused on what we're going to do.
Yeah, no. Excellent. Yeah. So, hang on. So, as a former GM yourself, Mike, like, what is Grant going through in this situation with prep on a short period? I know Team 23's obviously had some short periods of prep too. Like, how dangerous or how difficult is it to prep on a short time with this sort of setup?
It's extremely hard, and anybody that's doing it really deserves a lot of credit. So I give Grant a lot of credit. So, like, on one hand, I could say I know what he's going through, but on the other hand, the pandemic has changed the whole game, and hearing guys are in rooms for 24 hours straight. I mean, I guess at this point, a lot of it is taken out of their hands and just the TBT tells them when to do things. So in that sense, it's better that you don't have to go chasing down your guys, figuring out where they are, etc.
Yeah, and Shane.
Hey, Shane. Oh,
yeah.
God.
No, go ahead, George.
Yeah, so Shane, you've been in the tournament a long time, and D2, fantastic squad, always end up being called the underdogs. Showtime, you've been in the tournament a lot of times as a underdog. So, what's the different mentality in going in as a favorite versus the underdog?
I know it's a lot easier to play with a lot more energy. I know we watched D2 play last year; they were pretty electric to watch, actually. I know that probably being able to prepare the way you are makes it a little bit easier because you got everybody together. But how do you guys think you can stop Big X? Like, what is your game plan, I guess?
Well, I think it's a basic basketball book. It's going to be first, we got to stop transition offense for the other team. If you watch TBT, if you give up easy buckets in transition, that team normally loses. And then we have to have a cohesive unit to make them take difficult shots in isolation and not give up clean threes. If you do those things defensively, you're gonna be pretty good. And on the offensive end, we what we want to do is not turn the ball over and take good shots. And I know that sounds very basic, but if you watch these games, it's a lot harder than it looks because you got veteran players on the other team that are switching everything, experienced pros, and you just have to stay really solid.
That's a great place to end this conversation, which shows a little long today. So we want to thank all of our guests. Michael Illiano, GM of Team 23. Shane, GM of Showtime. Jess, superfan and booster of Armored Athlete. Magic Juan Bernal, odds maker extraordinaire, and joining us from quarantine, deep in the heart of Ohio, coach of the lowest seeded but hardiest team in the dance, D2's Grant Leonard. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our show tonight. We'll hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.